right, hey everybody, Quick Draw McGraw here from Quick Draw Comics. So in this episode, we're actually going to take you through step by step in how to make a painting. This is something that people have asked me about in the past, like how I create some very complex paintings. And I think the best way to start is to do a paint by numbers kit. So for this episode, we're going to actually do the Hunger Games. So Katniss Everdeen, she's the main character in Hunger Games. You probably remember from that. It's a very dynamic character, lots of action, and that's what we like to do in our comic book reviews and then painting the characters themselves. So I'm going to show you the actual website that you're going to go to purchase the kit. They're about $25, $30, and then they're going to be shipped typically from China to like a clearinghouse distribution center here in the United States, and then you're going to get them delivered. It takes about 2-3 weeks for it to happen, but when they do arrive, this is what it looks like. They'll come to you in like this kind of packaging here. That's the actual canvas itself. Now I'm just going to dump out onto here what the other things are. Okay, so here are your acrylic paints. All right. So there's two black ones. They typically do that because you get a lot more black in the paints that you need. Okay, so here's the color match list. Okay, so the way this works is you'll take 0018. That's what this is. Okay, 0018. And what happens is then you're going to get these numbers. All right. And then the other thing that I'm going to mention here is that you can see the painting itself. Now look at that. You can see this, and I'll do a zoom in on this. But like, for example, like over here near her hand and everything, her right hand is like completely worthless. The other thing I'll say is like down in here where her hair is and stuff, this is really not so great. You can have this just in case you need something, but on the actual canvas itself, it's actually a little better. But I think it's okay as a guidepost, but it's not wonderful. Okay, so there's that. Now, here's what you do. This is very important that you get this right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 0018. Okay, so that's our yellow color here, right? And so this is 1. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to take our 1 and we're going to put it on 0018. All right, and then what I like to do is I just kind of set them aside. Now 24 is black, and that's H. So that's 1303. That's 13. 24. H. That might have been H there. Okay. So let me do that. Those black is this one. It's the H. And then 23, that's actually white. Okay. So that's what you see there. There's 23, and that's white. And there's 224, and that's H, and that's black. So that's why it means one white, 2 black. Okay, so that's what those correspond to. Then let's just go and do our second one, which is 0052. Okay, and that's 2, number 2. Okay, so that's kind of how it goes. We'll do another one just so you have it. I don't want you to have to watch me do this. And I'll just cut over to the next piece. I need to say some other things here. before we get started. Okay. So 0064 is 3. Okay. So there's that. And hopefully I'm not like my bill of my hat is not getting in the way here. All right, I'll do that there. And then, okay, so that's the colors themselves and the numbers. And then this is these paints, these brushes here are really not good. Um, they give you these little brackets and screws here to like hang this thing up, but somewhere, I don't know where you would do that with what they give you. So you can just throw that out. These paint brushes will last you like a couple, like one round on the painting. So that's those. What I just did was, before I just filmed this, you can get from Amazon for like $8. You can get these things, and they're for tiny paintbrushes for acrylic oil painting. I got them for like $8, and I think there's like 20 of these in here. They're very fine tip. I'm gonna try them out because I went and bought these from a very expensive paint store here in Raleigh, and they're like a lot of money. And I don't know if they're going to be any. These are going to be any better than what I have there. So yeah, you're going to need very nice fine tip paintbrushes, and I'll just tell you that. So and then how they expect you to do this entire painting with like one of these is beyond me. That one doesn't even really work. And this bigger one, it might work like if you were to do 24 here, the dark, but I can teach you how to do that because you're going to have to be able to get this precisely right, especially if it's a black color and then other colors are running up against it, because if you don't, it's going to look terrible. So these are very, very, very intricate um, paintings, and this is why they take a lot of time, because you have to be very precise. And kind of like what I said before about her face. I mean, look at her eyes. You've got about, just here in her left eye, you've probably got about 12 different colors. Look at that. And you got a brush tip that big, okay? And then you're taking stuff out of these vials and you're plopping them in. Think about how quickly you can make a mistake. So you have to be just totally accurate. And I'll show you how to do that. It's going to take some time. So we're going to have to really, you got to be very, very patient, and you have to be very accurate when you do this. So that's what makes it work. That's why a lot of people can't do this, is because it takes you have to have very good hand-eye coordination. You have to have very good patience to be able to get this to work. So, but otherwise, you can do it. It's just, they're not easy. People say that, oh yeah, it's just, you're painting by the numbers and everything. No, it's really not. And what you're going to find too is you're going to get really frustrated by having to do all of these tiny little numbers. Eventually, what's going to happen is you're going to get to a point where I understand kind of what's going on with this painting and this, this piece of art. And I've done sort of the basic area, or the kind of the major key pieces. Now what I want to do is I want to kind of go off path and kind of do my own thing. And then that's when I'll take some of these things and I'll just like completely, like, it's basically what it becomes is like the chassis of a car. And then I just go in there sometimes and I'll just like completely rearrange everything and change it all and do different background coloring and shading and you know, things that make it like pop more and stuff like that. So, and I'll show you some of those tips and how I do that. But yeah, but just doing this baseline thing will take a while. So we're going to get into that next. All right, so I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to stop this video, and then we're going to start on like real low level painting of the actual around the face. And we're going to take a lot of time to just work on the face. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and start to get into this painting here. All right, so the key here to start with is I like to start with the dark colors. We're gonna start with 24, all right? So I've go ahead and numbered all these little vials here. So 24 is black. All right, so the key, as I said before, is to actually start with the eyes. The other thing I wanted to show is this is the paintbrush that I got before. This is like that big pack that was like $8. So these are the very like fine tip paintbrushes that you're gonna need. So like look at 10 here, which is white. We'll just have to do some white over that, but look how small that is. And so this type of paintbrush is perfect for that. All right. And then I just put that over here to the side. All right. So it's extremely important that you get this area correct around the eyes. So what I like to do is instead of using one of those paintbrushes, which you could completely mess up the area around it, is I'll just cheat and use a Sharpie permanent marker here, which is an ultra fine point as you're looking at. And then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna you're gonna have to do this extremely methodically. You're gonna have to go in there and trace this through. You see what I'm doing? Hopefully the bill of my hat is not getting in the way here. There you go. See how small that is? See, even then I made like a little mistake because the canvas itself has a little divot in it right there, okay? So let's go over to the left eye. Okay. See, there's a little dot there. I don't even know, it's for reflection. I can't even read the color. And if you look at this, see that right there? You don't even know what that is. All I can guess is that it might be a little speck of white. Okay, so I have no idea. I mean, I'll show a close-up of that. So to say that this is just, oh, paint by numbers, you know, really easy, it's so intricate. No, it's not easy. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. And again, there's a little speck right there. I don't know what that is. But see, the thing is, here's the deal. Again, if you don't, and I'm showing, I've talked about this in those various videos that I've done, talking about the art that I've completed. The art that I worked on that everybody liked, like Harley Quinn and Wolverine, and you saw how I messed up with Wonder Woman, and then I went back in and fixed it. The only reason why it worked is because I got every single tiny little thing around this perfectly. So All right, so let's go ahead and shade in this area here. Okay. And we can't get out of the lines. And at least the good news with this is we're going to be able to knock out this area. Okay. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, you could put a line around this, and then you could go back in there with that fine tip paint brush, you know, here, and you could like do that. But you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 colors around it. So I think what you want to do is you want to minimize your chance of bleeding into. So I don't even know what I'm going to do with this one. I think what I might do is I might throw down a little bit of white, honestly. But I'll throw it down. And the thing is, what's good about it is you can always put paint on top of marker and any other type of medium that you use. So if I screw something up, what I'll do is I'll go in there and I'll just, it doesn't matter if it's what kind of art it is. If I want to fix it, you can use acrylic paint on top of it. And God forbid, you can use whiteout, which I don't like to use. I've typically gone back to just doing acrylic white. And the problem though with acrylic white is unless you put, if you're doing this with me, it's almost like, well, the problem with acrylic white is that it's transparent. So if you have anything below a color, it can be very difficult. Okay? All right. So, notice this, what we did just now, is probably a good 20% of the success of your painting. See? Right there? We captured this. Now, the next thing, I can't even, eventually, see, I think what's going to happen is, okay, look, this is the other tip. It is so hard to see what that is. I don't even know what they're going for. So you're just going to have to go in there and you're going to have to just go through that on your own. This gives a lot of, I hope you're now appreciating what artists do and the level of detail. The other thing that I'm noticing here too is that it might just be this image itself and that they gave us. It almost looks like they're trying to show kind of like she's in a snow scene as well. These are like snow flakes that are coming down that are very big. I don't know, but it's not what's represented in the canvas. So you're gonna have to, you can't rely on this. This is not, just because this is what the canvas says and does not mean it's what, just because this is what the canvas is supposed to correspond to, it doesn't work. And the same thing with the color palette. It sometimes doesn't correspond. Okay, so here we go. So this is, again, hopefully my recording is going. Yeah, we're at about 9 minutes, so I'm gonna have to cut some of this. All right, so here we go. This is, so 24 is black, okay? So, and again, they give you two vials of black, and that's fine, that's normal. This is actually a pretty light painting, so you don't have a lot of black. Sometimes they'll give you way more than this, okay? All right, so then I can't tell what color eyes she has, but this is important too. Okay, so let's start with the left eye. And okay, so basically what they're telling us, okay, so there's 10, which is white, so that's gonna be easy. And I'm gonna show you something here. And then 23, that's interesting too. So they've given there's different shades of white. So that means, what that means is, okay, so this is important too. Notice how the light is coming from this angle, okay? Notice how her arm is being shaded. She's got like a brighter shade on this side of her arm. So that's, you need to take a look at the direction of the sun. And so, that's why this color of her eye on this one, on her right eye, is lighter than what you're seeing here with this one. So there's just little differences. And then what they're basically telling us, they're not like, now so they're telling us that she's got dark eyes. I'm gonna leave it like that. Now, some of the times what I like to do is they'll tell me like, oh, okay, this person has blue eyes, for example. Well, I might wanna make the painting dynamic, and I might wanna have them have green eyes, right? It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. Again, like I said, this is just like, think about this as a chassis of a car. And the whole purpose of this is for you to understand what artists do. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, and so we're gonna take 10, and we are going to use our vial. Okay, we're gonna open it up. Now, don't put it here because it's gonna then potentially get on the canvas. Just set it to the side like I did. Now, we're gonna take one of our trusty little new paint brushes that we have, extremely fine tip, because look where we're going. And then we're gonna take this, and take just a tiny little bit, okay? And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in there and we're gonna paint. And the important thing that you're gonna wanna do is mostly just hide the number, and notice how it comes up just underneath her iris. Okay, now there's a line there. We want to cover that. I feel like Bob Ross. I'm not painting trees. Okay. See how nice that is? Okay, so I don't know what that little dot is. Wow, I have no idea. I have no idea. Okay, so then this we're gonna then discard, and we're gonna put to the side. And what I end up doing is I have a bunch of paintbrushes to my right, and then I go back and I'll clean them later. I just put them under the wash. Now, one thing that you could do is you could look around here and you could say, oh, okay, well, where else do I have to do 10, okay? And then you could start to work on that. I highly recommend don't doing that now. I'll teach you how to do that later, but don't do that now. All right, so now let's take 23, okay? So this is a slightly brighter white, okay? That's why it won't work. 10 won't work. 23 will work. Okay. So this is basically just flat white, I think. So the other one just gave us a little pigment. Okay. And I think what I might try and do, I think what they're trying to do here in this little thing is they're trying to get a slight reflection. Okay. Now, notice what I did? I messed up. That tiny little hair on that brush, messed that up. But notice how important that is. Okay, so now let's paint her eye. Okay. There you go. And the stomach is grumbling. All right. Okay. Looks good. Looks good to me. Keep your hands very steady. Breathe in. Be very, very careful. Okay. Now, let's get into this further. Okay, what are we going to do now? We're going to try and do 5, okay? We're going to do right eye, all right? So we're going to go to so this is sort of a darker color, all right? Here it is. Now, I think what they're doing is, see how underneath her eye, there's a little bit of shading. You see that? That's what they're trying to do. They're going to have us do the eyebrow, and then they've got the eye, and then they're going to do a little bit of it. So she's got dark eyebrows, and then the eye is there, and then they're going to do some shading. See, because her hair is blocking the sun and is creating a shade. Her eyebrow is here, and it's creating shading over her eye and then onto her cheekbone, and then we're going to see her cheekbone lighten up. So we're going to get lightened cheekbone here, okay? And so we're going to create sort of a shadow effect underneath her right eye, okay? And that's why they're giving us 5. And they're also giving it around the top as well before we actually paint her eyebrow, which is 17. Okay? So let's get into this. Okay, so I'm going to use, now, you know what, actually, these really nice brushes are not that great. Okay, so, and the thing is, see, here's the deal. They'll give you, this brush is worthless. Am I supposed to use this brush? Look how long that is. That's not, I literally need, here, that's not good. I don't trust that one. Look at that. That's what I need. Look at that brush. How small it is. I need that. That's what I need. All right, so let's go. Let's do 5. Okay. All right. Okay, so you don't want to go low and then high. You want to start high and then come down low, all right? Because you could potentially, if you go up, you could potentially drag the brush over some of the light areas. Okay, so let's go here. This is 5. I have this sense of relief when I get these eyes done. Then I feel like I can really experiment with the character. See this tiny little divot? They want to create that before the eyebrow starts. Okay, so, oh wow, this is, okay, so look, here's the other thing. Notice this is not a good paintbrush. Notice that little hair that came out. I can't paint with this. It's gonna screw up the area. It's gonna screw up the paint. So always make sure that your paintbrush is good. Okay. I know this is tedious, but this is the key. Okay, so that's working out. Good paintbrush. So worst case, if you bring this sort of color up to where her eyes is, you could do the white over it. The problem with that though is you're gonna have to put a lot of white down, because obviously brown is darker than white. Okay. I don't even know 21. Oh, check that out. Okay. All right. I see what they did. Okay. All right. All right. So notice we've got the shading around the eye. Okay. So, okay. Wow. All right. So this is 21. Okay. So what they're now doing is they're having us capture how the sun or whatever it is flowing up. All right. Now, they're accentuating. Okay, this is too much paint. All right. So this is 21. Now we're going to do, we're going to do 21 underneath this brown. See? Okay. They got that. Now, oh, wow. Okay. So then, okay, so notice how 21 is right here. So 21, they want it then touched. Oh my God. I'm gonna have to fix that. So they just want it like that, you see? But see that tiny little thing? I gotta fix that. So what I'm gonna do is do this. Okay, kind of blended it. Okay. All right. Now, they also want the color. Okay, so first of all, I want to go back here. See? See, that could actually, see how that tiny little thing there could have a dramatic effect on the eye? Okay. That is as much paint as you're gonna want, which is actually too much. Okay. All right. So now now this is 21 here is going to be the shading underneath the eyebrow for the left eye. I don't even know what that color is. They don't even tell us. Okay. All right. There's 21. Now, let's go back over here. Trying to find a 4. So they're going to have this slightly darker color is going to come down here as far as the 4 for her nose. And then our 21 is going to go to the left of that. So look, they almost look the same, but they're not. The colors, this one's slightly darker, 21 slightly brighter. So we're going to go, instead of just doing one color down, you're using actually 2 different colors. But see, that's how you're able to get, they say, oh, the painting has such a dynamic look. It's because you're using shading and you're using different colors. Colors that almost look exactly the same, but when you put them up against each other, and this, you know, with a very large painting, see, it makes a big difference. Notice how the color comes up just there. Hopefully my dog's not putting you to sleep, because she's asleep, snoring. All right, so there you go. Like I said before, this is just the painting. And don't feel bad about using that you know, using this permanent ultrafine point, because, you know, as we know in comics, you've got the sketch artist, you've got the inker, and then you have the colorist. So, I mean, I know in painting it's a little different, but this is a comic book show, so, I mean, a lot of this inking has already been done for you, right? This is why this is the hardest to do, because you're starting literally, I'm trying to teach you this, because like, imagine starting with like nothing. So look at her face, look how crazy, look at all these colors, okay? All right, so that's that. Now let's go ahead and do 21. Again, up here, this is her, right before her, we get into her hair. Yeah, and this just takes a tremendous amount of patience. And this is actually a pretty big segment here. So notice how we can actually kind of get through that there. Now we're gonna have to go back. Now try and cover the lines, because you're not gonna go back and want to match the colors later on. It's gonna be difficult. Otherwise you're gonna have lines. Okay, you don't want that. All right, where else is 21? Okay, so this 21's used heavily through this, because this is sort of a this is sort of the color scheme of this, and you're gonna end up you're gonna have to take breaks if you want to be accurate. You're going to have to take lots of breaks to keep your hands steady and your focus. Okay. Gives you appreciation for what artists do, huh? Not easy. And people just glance at pieces of artwork, and then they're like, oh, that's pretty, and then they just turn the head and go the other way. They don't actually take the time to think about what the artist actually did and take a close look at the painting. But you do something like this, you won't ever think like that again. Okay, so we got a little bit of indent here between the lips. Lips are important. We've got about 16 colors around the lips. Yeah, we'll probably end up spending a couple hours, 3 hours on the face. Like when I show you guys these things, I literally put that Wonder Woman and probably the Harley Quinn. I probably spent, I don't know, 100 hours total. They took me forever. They took like a long time. Think about doing this. Think about like what we just did. I haven't looked at the thing, but we've probably been doing this just for 20 minutes, and that's all we've done. And this was easy because these were 2 big segments, or 3. Okay. So now what we want to do is, let's do 4. Okay, it's my dog drinking. You can hear a lot of stuff in my house while I do all this stuff. If you guys want to fast forward or whatever, you can do that. If not, you can just keep watching with me. You should probably watch for the first while here. Okay, this is a good brush. They almost kind of need to be like little pencils. Okay, notice a little divot there. A little bit of shading underneath the eyebrow. Okay. Now, remember how I showed you, look at this. If you look at the vials, Let's go back. Let me finish this. Look. Notice. Those look exactly the same. The colors, right? They're not. If I go here, if you put them next to each other, you don't do that. You don't see that. And what we're gonna have to do, we're gonna have to blend them. And you're gonna have to come back through all this later on. You have to do blending. All right. So that was 4. Now let's do 4. See, now you're gonna be, so the further you get away from the eye, the more confident you're gonna feel. Okay, see it's getting lighter with shading. That's her iris there. Okay, 4. Okay, so so instead of just throwing 4 to the side and then having to come back, let's just go ahead and do this. I want to do 9 because there's a tiny little 9 right there, and then also it kind of runs along here, the nose, and then 20. But let's just do 4. Okay, so let's continue on with that sort of orange hue. Now we got, that was nice because we're able to make up a lot of time with this one because we got more of a piece of real estate to work with, which is good because that's basically her cheek, right underneath her cheekbone. Threw a lot of color down there. Okay. I don't know if you guys find this interesting. Or just give up on it. I don't know. Hopefully you're painting with me. Might be a good sleep aid tool. Notice kind of blended it there. All right, now let's go up to here to 4. And then what you can do actually to kind of speed it up is you can trace the outer line here, and then you can just throw down a lot of paint. You can hear my dog drinking. I'm not going to be able to hold painting in the kitchen basically, so it's just noise that happens. It's just, you have to deal with it. Apparently very thirsty. Sounds like a pig, but it's a Boston Terrier. go. Okay. Now let's get, that was a lot of 4, huh? Katniss Everdeen, we are painting you. But can we capture your soul? The spirit of Katniss Everdeen, can we capture it? That's what we're trying to do today. Okay, see, I screwed up, blended it over. So we're gonna have to use 20 to go in there and fix that. And that's, again, just a lighter color. So it's, in the end of the day, people are gonna be like, oh, okay, she's just got a face and it's just a, you know, she's a Caucasian woman and there's some shading coming across. Well, no, it's not true, because for it to look, otherwise you just paint like a flat whatever on there and then it will look like, you know, a 3rd grader went and did this. But no, if you want to do this like a professional artist, you'll have to, you know, you have to do lots and lots of shading. Okay. Okay, so 20 is going to pop up more. See, it's coming together. Oh, these tiny little, oh, this paintbrush is doing pretty good. I should enjoy this paintbrush. The worst thing is when you get a paintbrush, it just goes all over the place. Okay. Oh, wow. All right, so now they're gonna have us touch on the lips. Okay, I don't even know what that color is. Wow, look at this. This is coming together. These are nice brushes. Thank God I bought them. I'll flash up a little thing again on where to buy them. I bought them on Amazon. They're like $8 for 20 of them. But they actually gave me some. They were a little, you honestly just, you need to go find like the finest tip brushes that you can possibly find, because some of those were not what I wanted. Okay, so here we go. Going in with 4. And as you get through this, you feel just a little more confident. Your hand will get a little more steady. I really enjoy this. It's kind of like bringing something to life. Just, you know, as the colors come down. It's like, you know, we started with nothing, right? And so now she's like becoming, look at that. I mean, her face, it's pretty cool. Okay, now what I want to do is I really want to get into, I want to get these eyes done, and then I'll cut this off after the eyes. I think you're pretty good on the face, but I want to make sure we do that. Now this is going to be, now they're going to be doing darker shading, right? Because now we're near the literally underneath her eyebrow. Okay, so we're going to find, we want to do this right. Okay, so notice this tip, this thing. It's actually, you want them to be like hard. Yeah, look at that. Look at that thing. It's like perfect. Okay, let's do this. 5. And the good thing with the darker colors is that the lining and the numbering can be hidden. Look at that. It's nice, huh? Okay, all right. I think I might have done 5 before. You start to lose track, quite frankly, because there's I think I hope my hat is not getting in the way. Okay. All right. So let's go up here. A little of this color underneath her hair. Now she's got highlights. She's kind of got, her hair color is light brown. But she's got there's a lot of black for darkness, contrast. And I'll show you how to deal with that. Oh, this is nice. Look at this. Oh, this is exciting. Look how wonderful that's looking, the 2 colors together. Okay, now we're gonna go around for her. I'm gonna go here with her eyebrow. We're gonna not get into the eye for the eyebrow. See, look at this. So she's gonna have a very dynamic looking face. See, all coloring. But this is when you can make a mistake. Once you start getting on a roll like this, and then the next thing you know, you've painted into an entire area. And as they say, paint yourself into a corner, and that's when you get completely screwed up. That's what happened with me with that Wonder Woman, that first Wonder Woman that I showed you. That was horrible. And then it ended up just looking terrible. It's because I just started like rushing and I didn't know what I was doing. I had the wrong paintbrushes. I don't know, I didn't understand it. But that's fine, I mean, I was just learning. But it ended up just looking terrible. And sometimes, just don't put rather, instead of putting like too much, don't put too much paint on your paintbrush. Because sometimes that'll just, you'll end up throwing down a blob of paint and then you can't really do much with it. Okay. Now, this here, that's just they're doing that so that you can get a little bit of dynamic effect with the shading or coloring. Okay, this. Okay. All right. I can't tell what color that is. I think it's 5. Yep, that's 5. Now, what they try and do for you is, for example, 5. Okay, they'll try and keep it the color of the background for this. They'll try and keep it the same across the thing. So if you see a 5, the background color should be similar. Okay. Okay, I think that's all we have for that. Now, okay, I want to do 17. Okay. 17 is her eyebrows. Notice how it's just slightly different than the color that we just put down. It's because they want it to be a little darker. To show that contrast. Okay. Okay. Look at that. That was huge. Okay, so I want to do 21 now. Let me see how far along we are. Oh my God, so we're at basically an hour, and all we've done is like kind of part of her face. Yeah, I'm not even gonna risk the one that they gave us. Okay. That was 21. We're going to go up here. There's 21 there. Okay. And what's cool is that like after you kind of make it a little further through, then you just start seeing like the numbers, they kind of like show up of like, okay, 9 and 20, they end up being a lot of the numbers that you need. Okay, so that's cool. So then let's go and let's do 9. How slight that different color is. Okay, 9. Okay, do that right. Whenever you're running up against colors, just be really super careful. Obviously, you don't want to mess that up. Now you're going to get to a point where you're going to get kind of frustrated and you're going to just want to just go off and do your own thing or get sloppy. That's okay. That's why I do the face first, because you need to just have patience here. I mean, if you want to kind of go rogue over here around her bow or something like that, that's cool. I mean, have fun. But, I mean, unless you're an expert in painting her, that's not what you want to do. Okay, so that was 9. Okay. All right, now we're going to throw down more color here. Okay. Little color here. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna stop the video here. I think you get the point on the face. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna do 20 is gonna be easy. We're gonna finish out that. I'm gonna do the little pieces with her mouth and stuff. You know how to do that. And I think what we're gonna do after that is we're gonna do the hair. Do the hair, and then we're gonna focus in on here, because your eye is here. You gotta get the hair right, and you gotta get here. And then we're probably gonna be doing her arm, and then we're gonna do the arrow, and then the hand. So we're gonna do the core body. So basically we're gonna do her, this, and the arrow, okay? That's kind of gonna be our focus. And then, you know, then we'll focus on here, which is sort of secondary. And then this other stuff, I'm gonna show you on the outside how to kind of, you're gonna be so tired of this by then. I'm gonna show you how to do the outside and have it go like a little faster, and then maybe how you can avoid having to do like all these tiny little things, because it's overkill and you're not gonna wanna do that. But notice we're doing the core here, and that's it. So with that said, if I decide to not cut out some of this, we've done a contiguous 1 hour segment on this. Okay, so all right, we'll talk to you later. Bye. All right, guys, let's get back into it. So up until now, if you've been watching, or at least on the fast forward, you'll see that to get to where we are with her face, it has taken us about an hour and 15 to an hour and a half, hour and 30 minutes. So yeah, it took a lot of time, obviously. So I took a long break, went to the pool, chilled out after doing the face. Now I'm back. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do hair, okay? The good news with hair is that hair is typically has dark within it, right? So we are going to go ahead and do this. Now, the good thing about this is that we're going to use our Sharpie permanent marker again, the ultra fine point, because what we're going to have to do here, and again, 24 is black, right? So there you go. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to come in super tight on the face. All right, so watch. See? We don't want to mess up that shading on her left cheek or chin, or basically her entire face. Okay? So that's why this has got to be totally accurate. I don't know what that color is, but I'm going to do that. That's 14. So they want a little bit of light right there. They have, what is that? 12. So they want a little bit of light right there. So we're going to stop. So what they'll do too, so like look at this. They're going to want that, and they're going to want that. Okay? God knows what that is. But see here, that's, and now see how there is absolutely no way that you could do this with a paintbrush. I don't even know what that color is. It's 21. Okay. That's 17. Probably be able to hit that. Again, 17. So they're going to want 17. They're going to want to throw down a little bit of brown there. That's because her hair is basically 17 color. That's her hair color. So she's got a brown color hair for the most part. You can see it up through there. Okay. So there you go. Now go ahead and do this. Okay. Hopefully my brim of my hat's not getting in the way. I'll sit back a little bit here. But do you see how this would be absolutely impossible? With even, look at this. I mean, look at what they gave you. Do you think that you could paint that, just that, and not hit these, and then not hit her face? I highly doubt it. I don't know anybody that could. I tried, doesn't work. So there you go. There we go. Very like this actually. And what you're gonna find, just like with those little gradients of shading, although they're very slight, you're going to find that once you do this, um, see, this is just, honestly, this is just like right here underneath, just before her bow. But they have little, there's little accent colors that you can't see on this because it's this picture here is too small. But when the painting, when you see it in um, a 12 by 16 or 16 by 20, then you can you'll definitely be able to see it. Okay. All right. So then what's going to happen is this is going to kind of go crazy. It's going to go. So notice you got your 24 there. Okay. So just keep following along, and it's going to run up like this, and then it's going to tail down here. And see, the good thing about having the black down is that you can see, look at that. There's some sort of color there. You can focus on the other colors. And I have an overhead light going on right now. You're going to need that light. Okay. So this is super important because what we're doing is we're adding more emphasis on her face. Okay. See, that's a different color. That's 23. Okay, so what we're going to do here, it's going to go in here. And then you're going to probably have to make a decision as to like what your accent color is to kind of make things pop. Now, this is something that I had pointed out earlier when my wife came by. So imagine that. So I talked about how the light comes by like this, right? This is how the light's coming. Imagine if we had just done these eyes black, black, right? But notice how when they go here, and then you see that little kind of glimmer, that little. Um, all right, guys. So let's go back into this. See if I can get this rolling. Okay. All right, guys, so last thing I want to mention here before we finish out sort of the dark shading of this. Again, you know, you could use this little paintbrush here. That's totally fine. And you could use a fine point Sharpie, and you could also use a ultra fine point Sharpie, okay? Just, you know, to kind of save you some time. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you was, the other thing is this. This is called a paint marker, and this will really help you out. So what happens is there's actually two sides to it, okay? So you're seeing it. So there's the narrow, and there's the wider part. So you press down like this, and this is where all the paint is, and you do that, and then it comes in like that. So it's actually, see how thick the paint is? It's actually pretty good. Now, I wanna see if I'm gonna check my camera. Yeah, you can see. So here, so check this out. It's a pretty good amount of paint. And you can kind of control the paint itself. It just saves you a lot of time, because black is in a lot of paintings, and it's such a boring color, but it's a color that's absolutely necessary. So see here, I mean, don't get me wrong, Sharpies are very good, and they're very, very good. If you want absolute control, use this, that ultra fine point, okay? But, I mean, you're down here, and you're tired, your neck hurts, and you've been doing this for like 4 hours straight or whatever during the day. I mean, just grab yourself one of these. You're gonna thank me for it. And it's basically the same exact thing as, I mean, it's not acrylic paint. I don't even know what kind of paint it actually is. Oh, it's acrylic, water-based acrylic ink. Okay, so there you go. I mean, it's the same thing, so why not, you know? And it's actually better because, like I said before, and you saw, it's going to give you a more consistent look. And actually, the black paint just does not look good on the canvas because it doesn't seep into the ridges and that are there. So when you know, like do this, you're actually seeping in there. And the important thing with black is it gives contrast. So you have to have contrast with your bright colors. That's an important thing. So that's why black is such an important piece, right? So we're rounding the corner on Jennifer Lawrence and Katniss Everdeen. Yeah, my wife just in peanut gallery here. Had to listen to this all day. All right, so then, yes, we're finishing it out, and then there you go. Super exciting, huh? Finally. There you are. Now see, even this thing, this is, I mean, you're gonna run out of ink. Look at that. Yeah, I'm done on black. I've had it. Black. I'm about tired of this. Hey, you gotta have a love of painting to follow through. Keep rolling. Okay, I got some more to finish. I'm gonna take a final video of this. I'll string it together. And there you go. So that's that. Coloring in the hair. Okay. So let's do 17. We'll actually even use the colors that they gave us. Okay, so this is the color of her hair. Okay, so let's pick it back up. Had a nice rest last night. Now we're gonna do 21 here. Probably some little highlighting. Right now we've got a lot of our bow kind of framed out and some of her hand. I don't even know what that is, so I'm just going to continue to just kind of push down into there. Okay. Eventually some of the little areas you just kind of have to blend in. I don't know what that is. Okay. What else do we see? $21. Okay. Give it kind of a flowy color. All right. Underneath her armpit there. All right, there's that. Okay, so I'm going to do one more little segment, and that's going to give you enough to kind of see where I'm going with this. Hopefully you're following along. Okay. Now let's go here. Okay. All right. Stop it there for a second. All right, guys. So here's where I am with the painting. I I've done still photos up until now because doing this, like having it run continuously, is just crazy. The video. No, obviously you've done with the face, did a lot of the body, a lot of the arms, the hands. I've done a lot of the arrow, and then bow. And now what I'm doing is I'm starting to fill in the background. I need to finish like some of her hair, and then I should be pretty good to go. Where I'm just kind of knocking out the back here. So that's where I am, and hopefully you're also doing your part and following along. And I'll leave it at that. So I'm gonna try and make a little bit of progress here, and hopefully we'll be done with this thing pretty soon. All right, bye bye. All right, guys. Well, we are finally done. At least I am. Hopefully, you've enjoyed this experience. I'm going to take you through some things that I realized when I went through this painting. Number one, if you look at uh, this guide, this whole right arm that she has in the guide was a disaster. I don't know what they were thinking. So what I tried to do it. I did it as they said, and then I eventually just gave up, and I ended up making her hair balanced. So having her hair kind of come this way, and then if she's going to have hair, I mean, she's going to be pulling an arrow back either before, in front of, or back, or her hair's going to get in the way. And so I'm kind of like pushing the hair this way, and then it's flowing this way. So you see the wind kind of taking it, and then she's got hair kind of coming that way, right? So I wanted to create more proportional side of things, because what this is doing here is just throwing some like strands of hair, and then you have to put some background color to it. It just didn't make sense to me. Do what you want to do. I don't know. That was what made sense. You might think that this hand here is massive. Well, that's actually the point, is to actually show the point of the arrow, and then the hand, and then the bow. So you really want to, we'll do eyes, arrow, hand, right? And so we don't want this right hand getting in the way. We want to keep our movement here, okay? The other thing too is if you follow the painting at one point, there's a line that comes down here. And what can happen is you can take basically go from like her bosom and then go straight down here, like a straight, and then she looks like a stick figure. So she needs a little more defining action. So you need to like do that, and then also here to actually look like she's got like a like a hiney butt, because otherwise it just kind of comes straight down as well. Lots of shading and stuff. One of the other things too is this is my third day into this. And so what I did was like as far as like this background stuff, remember I told you you got to get the face right, and so I did that whole entire segment. And God love you if you watch this entire 3 day thing. Um, but I got so frustrated and tired and bored today that I just started like throwing down. I kind of kept to the color scheme, as you can see, but I just really started to kind of throw down colors. At a certain point, you just are like, I'm done. So that's pretty much it. This has been a long video. I had to walk through each. I didn't cover the whole entire thing in the video, but I did do segments of it. So the ones that there is nothing in here that's going to be in the video itself is not going to be worthwhile. So if this is new to you, this will all these segments that I have in the video will be useful. As far as like a paint by numbers, 3 days, you know, I don't know. I've had some that have taken, weeks to do, honestly. This is not too bad. I thought her face would be the hardest, but then I got led astray by that right hand. So I just spent a couple hours today trying to figure out how to do it. And I just had the epiphany of just a lot of the times in paintings and stuff, you just have to paint over areas that are just completely a mess or just go over certain things. But that's it. All right. So please like, subscribe. I put a ton of time into this. Let me know if you did paint it. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me send me some pictures of what it ended up looking like, and I promise that I will put it up on the show. And please let me know your comments. Let me know if there's other things you want painted. Next episode is I'm actually going to do a little bit of I'm going to shift gears, thank God, and I'm going to do a historical segment on the first comic book that was ever created. Not many people know about that history, so it'll be a history lesson and be able to do something different. So, anyways, hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you later. Bye.